मैंने 3-4 बार बोला है कि सावधान रहना चाहिए, जो हो रहा है उसको समझना चाहिए। उनकी बयानबाजी आती रहती है, मैं देखता हूं एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर बोलते रहते हैं, कहना नहीं चाहिए, मगर शायद उनको थोड़ी अपनी समझ गहरी करनी चाहिए।
Well, let me put it to you more accurately. This wasn't at a parliamentary committee. I mean, in parliamentary committees, we have interacted, but usually what happens in parliamentary committee, I try to keep to myself, so I will not get into it with you either. This, I think, was something he said at some kind of public meeting somewhere. It was
that you don't know much about.
I think he, look, I cannot vouch for the exact words either, but I think it was probably in the context of China, if
China.
I remember right.
Yeah, he's not convinced about China.
Yeah,
that
but I mean,
he thinks
look,
that you are opaque about it.
I don't know whether it's opaque or whether, there was a sort of a level of knowledge, understanding. I mean, all I can say in my defense is I have been the longest serving ambassador in China. I have been dealing with a lot of these border issues for a very, very long time. I would say, let me put it to you this way, I'm not suggesting I'm necessarily the most knowledgeable person, but I would have a fairly good self-opinion of my understanding of what is out there.
Okay.
But, if he has superior knowledge, wisdom, I'm always, as I said, for me, life is a learning process.
Superior knowledge, wisdom on China?
If he has, I'm always willing to listen.
Okay. And learn from Mr. Rahul Gandhi on China?
If you think that that's a possibility, I have never closed my mind to anything, however improbable it is. I would say, again, I use this word, this narrative that somewhere government is on the defensive, somewhere we are being accommodative. I mean, I ask people, if we were being accommodative, who sent the Indian army to the LAC? Rahul Gandhi didn't send them. Narendra Modi sent them. Okay? We have today the largest peacetime deployment in our history on the China border. Okay? And we are keeping troops there at a huge cost with great effort. We have increased our infrastructure spending on the border 5 times in this government. So now tell me who's the defensive, accommodative person. In fact, the question you should ask is, who's actually telling the truth, who's depicting things accurately, who's playing footsie with history? I think those are the questions which should be asked.
Because India's most failed foreign minister yesterday in an interview with an agency said that we are the smaller economy and they means China is the bigger economy and we cannot go and pick a fight with them. What exactly does he mean? Is he telling us that we are not capable of protecting our territorial sovereignty? We are not being able to look up to China and ask them questions? What exactly is he trying to do? Because what he's trying to do is essentially break and shake the confidence of our Indian army and demean the valor of our armed forces. People who are standing at the border and defending our territorial integrity do not need to be told that we are the smaller economy and they are the bigger economy and should we pick up a fight with them. What exactly does he mean? This is one of the most blasphemous statements made by any foreign minister. I also want to speak to Mr. Jaishankar and raise a few questions because he has claimed that he was the longest serving diplomat, longest serving Indian ambassador in China. In that capacity, will you tell us when will status quo ante be restored of April 2020? Why do the Prime Minister and you stay quiet on China? Why have we increased the trade deficit to $100 billion? We are almost funding the Chinese army to do the incursions that they do. As India's longest serving ambassador in China, what do you have to say about all the visuals that come about Chinese aggression? What do you have to say about the supreme sacrifices about our forces? What do you have to say about the 2,000 square kilometers of land on which China has acquired? What do you have to say about the patrolling points which have now become buffer zones? What do you have to say about the brazen military infrastructure being built across the Pangyong Lake or in Doklam? What do you have to say about the railway line being built by China, which is of course a threat to our territorial integrity and our national security? And what exactly do you have to say on steadily increasing trade deficit. Is this your answer to the supreme sacrifice of our brave hearts? And may I also add, you can keep lying and you can keep attacking your political opponents, but do not do this at the cost of national security. Some things are sacrosanct. And I want to bust a few lies here. The border was largely silent for 50 years after 1967, barring an incident in 87. Why are there so many multiple incursions now? The UPA government in 2006 adopted the current active border infra policy. The roads, tunnels actively marketed were mostly planned by the Shamsaran Task Force in 2006. Constructions of roads, tunnels and high landing grounds for heavy aircraft began in 2008 and was largely completed by 2014. The Indian Navy held excursions with the US Navy near the East China Sea in 2007, 2009, 2011 and 2014. Is it not true that the Congress government sanctioned a 50,000 strong 2 new mountain divisions, stations armored in Ladakh and Arunachal? The Congress government activated 4 advanced landing grounds in Chushul, Demchok, Daulat Beg Oldi and Fukche, and there are multiple other incidents of this. So foreign policy that you have reduced to a photo op, foreign policy that you have reduced to a chest thumping exercise cannot be reduced to that. Foreign policy is supposed to further the interests of this country. Foreign policy is not supposed to be a tool to manage and allocate projects from foreign countries to one business group, and that's Adani. And last but not the least, मैं अंत में यही कहना चाहूंगी, आप भले लोगों को अटैक करिए, लेकिन बुजुर्गों के पास विजडम होती है, उनके पास एक्सपीरियंस होता है. बहुत दूर जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. अपने ही पिता की बात सुन लीजिए, जिन्होंने 2002 में लिखा था गुजरात के दंगों के बाद कि धर्म का हनन हुआ है गुजरात में, और जिन्होंने मासूम नागरिकों को नहीं बचाया वो असुर हैं. अपने ही पिता की बात सुनिए, जिन लोगों का डंका आज आप बजा रहे हैं, जिन लोगों का गुणगान आज आप कर रहे हैं, उन्होंने असुरों का काम किया है. ये मेरे शब्द नहीं है, ये आप ही के पिता के शब्द हैं. वो भले बुजुर्ग होंगे, लेकिन विजडम और एक्सपीरियंस ये कहता है कि आप उनकी बात सुनिए.